Live update. Suspect charged with murder and killings of 2 embassy aides. Federal prosecutors said they were investigating the shooting outside of a Jewish museum in Washington as a hate crime and possible act of terrorism. The suspect told police officers, "I did it for Gaza," he said. The FBI said. The suspect in the shooting deaths of 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington was charged with first-degree murder and other crimes on Thursday, according to an FBI affidavit filed in federal court hours after federal agents in tactical gear descended on Mr. Rodriguez's Chicago home. Elias Rodriguez, 31, told officers he killed 2... Are they Israeli? Israeli embassy. 2 Israeli embassy employees in D.C. It's D.C., right? Washington, D.C., I'm assuming. Mr. Rodriguez, wearing a white jumpsuit, entered no plea at his initial appearance. The close-range shooting of the embassy workers occurred shortly after 9 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday on a street outside the Capitol Jewish Museum, where the American Jewish Committee was hosting a reception for young diplomats. The area is the heart of official Washington, packed with federal buildings, embassies, and museums. The 2 people killed in the attack were a couple, Yaron Lichinsky, 30, who grew up in Israel and Germany, and Sarah Milgram, 26, who was from Kansas. As Miss Milgram tried to crawl away from the gunman, he followed her and fired several more times. Jesus, is there video of this? My God. The weapon found at the crime scene was a 9mm pistol. Holy shit, that's an insanely small pistol. What? That did not appear to have been purchased recently, the FBI affidavit says. Mr. Rodriguez transported a gun in checked baggage on a flight from Chicago to Reagan National Airport on Tuesday, according to the affidavit. A post on social media on Wednesday night from an account that the New York Times verified as belonging to Mr. Rodriguez condemned the Israeli and American governments as well as Israeli military actions against Palestinians. Officials said a lone gunman approached 4 people who were leaving the event, shot the 2 victims, then entered the museum, where he was detained by security officers. The suspect's online profiles indicated that he was raised in Chicago, graduated from a university in the city, and worked at a healthcare nonprofit. Jesus. Is this the shooting that Hassan was saying looked staged? Yeah. Destiny, this is a genuine good faith question. Can you explain why you're covering this shooting, but not anything about Bibi's plan to displace Gazans or the confirmed starvation deaths that have occurred recently? I would understand if you had no interest in the topic at all, but it feels weird to selectively cover this story and not any of the bigger developments happening. Because I hate Palestinians and Arabs and I want all of them to die, and I'm a massive Zionist simp, and I'm worried that I'm going to get cut off from my Mossad funding. So I have to cover the stories that they send me here related to any time a Jewish person dies, and then they apply really heavy pressure on me to not cover anything negative about Palestinians. The answer is, and I've said this a billion times, the answer is I don't really support the Israeli administration post-Trump election. I feel like they were basically given carte blanche to do anything, and they're squandering the opportunity to reach any kind of actual settlement on the issues, and instead they're just pushing the advantage of having a sycophantic pro-Zionist president, Donald Trump, as much as possible to basically do the most they possibly can. So, whatever I'm covering, I'm going to be opposed to. I don't really support the current administration at all. The Israeli administration, I think they're fucking retarded. So there's not really much. It's not like there's anybody to argue with over that or anything. It's bad shit. But the U.S. government, that's an issue. If you cared about that issue, post-Trump, that doesn't matter anymore. The U.S. can't do anything. Israel will do whatever they want to the Gazans. If you are a Gazan or Palestinian in Gaza, you're subject to basically whatever Netanyahu wants to do to you. That's a decision that we made in the United States when we voted for a president who will support Israel basically no matter what they do at all. So that's just a lost issue now. It's the same reason why I don't really cover the Russia-Ukraine stuff as much. I think that's another issue where there's clearly a right and wrong there. But in the United States, we've decided that we just don't give a fuck about enforcing anything in Ukraine, so I don't cover that either. The Israel Embassy Shooter Manifesto, 900-word document, cites Gaza as motive. 900 words? Seriously? That's a manifesto? This is like an essay. This is from Ken Klippenstein. This guy was made to be an LSF poster. I've obtained the alleged manifesto written by Elias Rodriguez, suspect in the killing of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. I believe the document to be authentic for several reasons, including the fact that it is signed by Rodriguez and timestamped well before he was named by law enforcement or any media. I am publishing it here not to glorify the violence, which I find abhorrent and condemn. Really? but so the public can better understand the truth of what happened. Refusing to confront the content of these texts often creates an information vacuum that is quickly filled by hoax documents, conspiracy theories, or selective leaks from authorities that can distort the facts. I believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant. God, what a retarded fucking statement. Especially when politics is involved, as the document makes clear in the case here, but it's good to have the document. Metropolitan Police Chief Pamela A. Smith identified Rodriguez as a 30-year-old man from Chicago. I thought he was 31. Who she said shouted, "Free, free Palestine" at the scene. The manifesto echoes this message, citing the war in Gaza as its central grievance and framing the killings as an act of political protest. Below is the document in full. Halantar is a word that means something like thunder or lightning. In the wake of an act, people look for a text to fix its meaning. So here's an attempt. Okay. The atrocities committed by Israelis against Palestine defy description and defy quantification. Instead of reading descriptions mostly, we watch them unfold on video, sometimes live. After a few months of rapidly mounting death tolls, Israel had obliterated the capacity to even continue counting the dead, which has served its genocide well. At time of writing, the Gaza Health Ministry records 53,000 killed by traumatic force, at least 10,000 lie under rubble, and who knows how many more or how many thousands more dead of preventable disease, hunger, with tens of thousands at risk of imminent famine due to Israeli blockade, all enabled by Western and Arab government complicity. The Gaza Information Office includes the 10,000 under the rubble with the dead in their own count. And news reports there have been those 10,000 under the rubble for months now, despite the continual making of more rubble and repeated bombing of rubble again and again, and the bombing of tents amid the rubble. Like the Yemen death toll, which has been frozen at some few thousand for years under Saudi, UK, US bombardment before being belatedly revealed to stand at 500k dead, all of these figures are almost surely a criminal undercount. I have no trouble believing the estimates that put the toll at 100,000 or more. More have been murdered since March of this year than in Protective Edge and Cast Lead put together. Ooh. What more at this point can one say about the proportion of mangled and burned and exploded human beings whom were children? We who let this happen will never deserve the Palestinians' forgiveness. They've let us know as much. An armed action is not necessarily a military action. It usually is not. Usually it is theater and spectacle, a quality it shares with many unarmed actions. Nonviolent protest in the opening weeks of the genocide seemed to signal some sort of turning point. Never before had so many tens of thousands joined the Palestinians in the streets across the West. Never before had so many American politicians been forced to concede that, rhetorically at least, the Palestinians were human beings too. But thus far, the rhetoric has not amounted to much. The Israelis themselves boast about their own shock at the free hand the Americans have given them to exterminate the Palestinians. Public opinion has shifted against the genocidal apartheid state, and the American government has simply shrugged. They'll do without public opinion, then criminalize it where they can, suffocate it with bland reassurances that they're doing all they can to restrain Israel, where it cannot criminalize protest outright. Aaron Bushnell and others sacrificed themselves in the hopes of stopping the massacre, and the state works to make us feel their sacrifice was made in vain, that there is no hope in escalating for Gaza, and no point in bringing the war home. We can't let them succeed. Their sacrifices were not made in vain. The impunity that representatives of our government feel at abetting this slaughter should be revealed as an illusion, then. The impunity we see is the worst for those of us in immediate proximity to the genocide errors. Is that a real word? A surgeon who treated victims of the Mayan genocide by the Guatemalan state recounts an instance in which he was operating on a patient who'd been critically injured during a massacre when, suddenly, armed gunmen entered the room and shot the patient to death on his operating table, laughing as they killed him. The physician said the worst part was seeing the killers, well known to him, openly swagger down local streets in the years after. Elsewhere, a man of conscience once attempted to throw Robert McNamara off a Martha's Vineyard-bound ferry into the sea, incensed at the same impunity and arrogance he saw in that butcher of Vietnam as he sat on the ferry's lounge laughing with friends. The man took issue with McNamara's very posture, telling you, "My history is fine, and I can be slumped over a bar like this with my good friend Ralph here, and you'll have to lump it." The man did not succeed in heaving McNamara off a catwalk into the water. The former Secretary of State managed to cling to the railing and clamber back to his feet. But the assailant explicated the value of the attempt by saying, "Well, I got him outside, just the two of us, and suddenly his history wasn't so fine, was it?" A word about the morality of armed demonstration. Those of us against the genocide take satisfaction in arguing that the perpetrators and abettors have forfeited their humanity. I sympathize with this viewpoint and understand its value in soothing the psyche, which cannot bear to accept the atrocities it witnesses, even mediated through the screen. But inhumanity has long since shown itself to be shockingly common, mundane, prosaically human. A perpetrator may then be a loving parent, a filial child, a generous and charitable friend, an amiable stranger, capable of moral strength at times when it suits him, and sometimes even when it does not, and yet be a monster all the same. Humanity doesn't exempt one from accountability. The action would have been morally justified taken 11 years ago during Protective Edge, around the time I personally became acutely aware of our brutal conduct in Palestine. But I think to most Americans, such an action would have been illegal, would seem insane. I'm glad that today, at least, there are many Americans for which the action will be highly legible and, in some funny way, the only sane thing to do. I love you, Mom, Dad, baby sis, the rest of my familia, including you. Oh! Free Palestine. Elias Rodriguez. Okay. Well, it's kind of boring. What is this?
All of us need to call it out. But all of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer, Hassan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state. Like, extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed.
Gamer.
This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
Damn. Isn't this the ADL director? Yeah, this guy's at like all the meetings, so that wouldn't be surprising at all. These are the people whose deaths leftist, i.e. Hassan's community. Bro, we got a lot of verb disagreement here. What the fuck is happening? Okay, sorry, it's celebrating. According to a witness, the event held at the Jewish Museum focused on humanitarian aid, raising questions such as, how can we meaningfully help both people? You guys post shit like this, but it's never enough for these guys. You understand that, right? That like when you say a Zionist peace activist, they're never like they're not peaceful enough for these people. So I don't know why or maybe it helps or normies, I guess. I don't know. Check out the comments on the Hassan sub. Did you see what Noah Samson said about them? Nope. Reminder, no Fed posting, chat. Watch all these pro-Israeli folks all of a sudden decide that assassinations are wrong now when they literally celebrated pager bombs and the murder of Arab and Iranian diplomats. What are the Arab and Iranian diplomats? Are they talking about the leaders of Hamas? Or is there somebody else that they're talking about here? And Soleimani, I guess, for when America did it. Also, pager bombs for Hezbollah? Oh, the Syrian embassy and the Iranian general? Sure. I feel like that's a far cry from citizens working at a museum or an embassy, just like random, like non-military, not even like hype and leadership, but okay. I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. It's gross how meek and fretful we become at the first sign that genocide has consequences. Are we begging at the table of genocidal monsters, hoping they give us a shred of human dignity? Are we so devastated that people supporting genocide are going to be smug, as if this changes anything at all? This changes nothing in the argument. This is totally predictable blowback that honestly plays by Israel's own rules. Damn. Israel has established the enemy has no civilians. There is no such thing as an innocent life. That all bureaucratic, clerical, medical, journalistic, etc. staff are fair game. Jesus. The assassination of the Nazi diplomat in Paris in 1938 by a Jewish person was used by the Nazis as the pretext for Kristallnacht. I'm sure the genocidal Zionist regime won't respond in a similar fashion, right? This is so... These comments and 56 upvotes show you like how totally disconnected from reality all of these people are. Like, it's actually kind of scary if you think about how completely unplugged. What more can Israel do that they haven't been doing already? What's going on with all the Palestinians in the West Bank? What about the 2 million Arab Palestinians that live in Israel? What about the millions of people that still live in the Gaza Strip? What, you think Israel is really doing maximum damage to all of these people? Like, it's just so cringe. You can only do what Israel does for so long with no repercussions. What are the repercussions? So are all Jews fair game now, or One of these people grew up in Israel and Germany. I'm assuming this is an Israeli citizen, right? And Sarah Milgram, who was from Kansas. Is that just an American Jew, or I thought it was about Zionism, not Judaism or anti-Semitism or Jewish people, no? Well, what are you going to do, guys? It's a genocide, okay? Damn, Jesus. Pro-Palestinian DC shooter killed an Israeli diplomat who was engaged in peace building. No. Being a liberal. True.
This person was
Hassan seemingly doesn't understand an Israeli person can be a Jew. Wait, hold on, what?
Jewish, and this person was Jewish, and he was killed for being Jewish or whatever the fuck. Like, no, he wasn't. He was not Jewish. He was a German Christian. Okay.
I can't tell. It's hard because Hassan mixes up like equal parts incredibly bad faith while also kind of being, or at least having to present himself as being really uninformed because the audience is largely uninformed. I can't tell if he is genuinely this fucking retarded to think that if you stop practicing the religion of Judaism, you're no longer a Jew, or if he's just lying and trying to make it about the religion and pretending there is zero ethnic component to being Jewish. Like, I'd be curious, his audience should ask him, like, hey, just curious, Hassan, why didn't all the Jews in Germany just stop practicing their religion? Wouldn't that have saved them from the Holocaust? Why not just be like, oh, I'm Christian now? They'd be like, oh, today we're getting Rosenstein. Oh, no. He converted to Christianity now. He's cool. Oh, okay, cool. Mossad operation to deflect from 14,000 children being starved to death. The pro-genocide crowd. How are only 14,000 children being starved to death? Aren't there like over 1 million quote-unquote children in Gaza? Chunk when Israelis are the target. You can't do more harm to the Palestinian cause than by killing Israeli embassy staffers. It's obviously immoral. It makes the whole community feel unsafe. It's also deeply counterproductive because it allows people to frame the whole peace movement as violent, deeply stupid. I don't think this is the worst statement in the world now. I'm probably going to get jumped for this, but like, don't kill civilians, no matter who they were, especially not in a country that's looking for every reason to designate the Palestinian movement as a terrorist group. I support insert rights movement here, but I don't agree with the way they protest. God, that's so cringe. That's just my way of protesting. Bro is murdering civilians. Hell yes. Queen. Oh, sorry, an explanation for the 14,000 children thing. The stronger children are able to eat the weaker children. The 14,000 that are starving are the ones perfectly in the middle, capable of fending off the stronger children, but not overpowering the weaker children. Gotcha. Thank you.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't followed the news recently, and I lose track of this sometimes. Right now, who's the president? Is it Trump or is it Biden? Because every single day I turn the news on, Trump is talking about Biden, the conservatives are talking about Biden, everybody is talking about Biden. It feels like that is the only thing that these people can ever talk about because they're trying to take away attention from Trump's disastrous econ policy,
there was a major
from the
scandal
utter failures that he's running into over and over and over again with all of the courts, with the insane arguments that they're putting in front of the Supreme Court, trying to get rid of things like birthright citizenship. But for some reason, we're talking about Biden again. Can you show me a single time when Joe Biden sat down and had EOs brought to him and explained to him that he'd never seen before, like we see Trump sign on an almost daily basis? One example of that.
Well, they didn't bring them to Joe Biden because an auto
Exactly. You have no examples of that. No, you have no
True.
examples of that.
True.
Donald Trump
True.
is worse
True.
than Donald
True.
Trump is
True.
worse.
True. True. Did you go over the whole Pure show? It was so boring, dude. I don't even think I talked much.
It's a lifetime you said.
Stop. Wait, is this where he reincarnated as an Aiden Ross fan? Is that true? Oh shit, wait. He got super mad at this, didn't he?
When's the last time you set foot in any holy building?
I went to a mosque recently out of respect for my friend.
Out of respect for what friend? What, was he a suicide bomber? What do you mean you went to a mosque?
Okay, he was being edgy first, to be fair. He was being edgy first before all of this, okay? Just to be clear. He was being edgy first, okay? That's the only reason I'm being edgy in this.
That's crazy, bro.
I heard that if you f up really bad in life, you get reincarnated as an Aiden Ross fan. Is that true?
Oh my god.
Do you believe that everything is predetermined?
No. Destiny? You're talking about actual destiny? Not this cuck destiny, the real destiny? All I will say is this, Destiny. You're going to hell. You don't believe in God, so.
Thanks. I'll see you there, buddy.
You're a 40-year-old. You're a 40-year-old. You're a 40-year-old.
Aiden,
You're a
chill.
40-year-old.
Aiden, chill.
He got so mad. Oh man. Ooh, the nothing ever happens guy. Mo was so cucked after this. Mo was laughing throughout this whole show, and then afterwards, like his 4 Muslim fans were like, "Bro, not cool." And then he does like a whole Twitter announcement. He's like, "I just want you guys to know I disavow all of Destiny's jokes that were even remotely Islamophobic. I super don't support any of that." Hassan's chat during the reading of the manifesto.
All of these figures are almost surely a criminal undercount. I have no trouble believing the estimates that put the toll at 100,000 or more. More have been murdered since March of this year than in the Protective Edge and Kasled put together. These are 2 previous sieges that Israel implemented on Gaza in the past.
I like, by the way, did he put his chat in emote only mode or something? He has, like, what does that say about your chat? If you have to put it in emote only mode when you're reading a fucking terrorist manifesto?
Okay. What more at this point can one say about the proportion of mangled and burned and exploded human beings whom were children? We who let this happen will never deserve the Palestinians' forgiveness. They've let us know as much. An armed action is not necessarily a military action. It usually is not. Usually it is theater and a spectacle. All of these figures are almost surely a criminal act.
I can't watch this. It's too painful. I hate these fucking people.